Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. How's everybody doing? Hope you had a great Monday, which usually most people don't, when that's normal because Monday is always the first day of the work week after the weekend. But we're supposed to get snow here, I think, starting tomorrow morning around, 10:30, 11 o'clock, I guess, and they said it's supposed to go on into the next day. So I don't know if that means we're going to get a lot or if it's just going to be light snow. I don't know. Okay, I didn't get that much of the report. So, but we all knew it was coming, which means it'll probably warm up slightly in order to create the snow. Because it's really cold out today. It was windy too, but it was sunny out, and I fed the squirrels again some more peanuts and come running there. But yeah, I mean, it was sunny, and I was supposed to get my water heater today, and it didn't come. I called, and I was told that the people that are supposed to bring it over, they're from Old Town, they're like tied up. They got all kinds of clients right now, and I'm on the list of places they have to go, and they might come tomorrow, they might not. If it snows, they may not come. I don't know. But, it's not like, an emergency where I need it right off. I mean, it's I'm still getting some hot water and everything, enough to run the registers, because it's hot water heated and stuff. But I'm okay with with this thing there. It's just, it has to be replaced, I guess. And it shouldn't take too long for them to do it. I just have to get to my name on the list, that's the way it goes. I guess I should have expected that. This time of the year, it's really, really busy. Most people are getting their homes ready, checking out, making sure their water heaters are working, and, that everything is all set for winter, So, it's just one of those times of the year, you have to do these things in advance. But like I said, I didn't realize that I needed a new water heater until Melissa spent the night here, and she told me the water went cold in the shower after about 10 or 15 minutes of showering. So I was like, okay. So anyway, but there's this thing here that happened today where Trump says that he's going to release the MRI results, and he claims he doesn't know what part of his body was scanned or what it was for. Really, I had an MRI done. I know what they do. Okay, how could he not know? I mean, it's like, what is he? Does he go and have himself scanned all the fucking time? And he fell asleep while he was getting this done or something? I mean, what the hell? It's a very bizarre thing for him to say. So in this little article here that was written, it says, it looks like we're finally going to see those infamous MRI results, folks. But first, just imagine going to your doctor for a routine exam and being told you need an MRI. Imagine that you don't ask why. Then imagine going home, relaying the visit to your family, and when they predictably ask why the MRI, you tell them you didn't bother to ask. Now imagine going to the follow-up appointment for said MRI and, again, not asking what it's for. Still with us? Okay, good. Now imagine literally being ferried inside the MRI machine from anywhere between 20 and 90 minutes and still not asking why. Oh, also, you're the President of the United States and you're 79 years old. The man is either lying through his teeth or so profoundly lacks any semblance of competency and curiosity, he shouldn't be trusted with a steak knife, let alone the nation's nuclear codes. It's true. I mean, he's because he's been so mum about the whole thing about the scans that, it's like, well, yeah, there's privacy, but then there's also national concern. Okay, all the other presidents we've had before, when something they had to go see the doctor, we got some idea why they were going, and how it turned out. But this guy, I mean, his butt cheeks are so clenched that he's not going to let anybody know, and it makes people wonder, how bad is it? And the fact that he got an MRI done and he doesn't even have any answers for why, when, where, and you know what I'm saying? You have to wonder, what's going on with this guy here, okay? Now, we all know he ain't in the best of health, okay? He's actually in worse health than Joe Biden was last year, okay? And everybody knew this was going to happen. Because when MAGA was out there bitching about Biden, no, he can't do it, what we were saying, Trump is not too far behind, folks. Next year, he could be falling apart. He could have been falling apart last year, but he was better at hiding it than Biden, okay? So their argument was bullshit, okay? Now it's in their face. So, so he says he's going to release those MRI results. Now, do you really think that they're going to be completely honest about what results were found, okay? This coming from, what's her name, the Caroline Leavitt. When has she ever said the truth about anything? You think she's going to start now? Of course not. She's not going to tell us a fucking thing. She's going to paint this rosy picture that, oh, he's fine, everything's fine, he just needed a checkup and yada, 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 okay? And we're not going to really know. He's just going to drop dead one day and everyone's going to say, what happened? Because nobody's going to know. And how do you think they're going to fucking spin that one? You can't lie about a dead corpse. Somebody said, weekend at Bernie's, that they'll somehow, push him around like some kind of a big puppet, after he croaks and, and make people think that he's still alive. Who fucking knows? I mean, we've seen some new stretches here in this administration about how far a president will go to lie or cover his ass. And believe me, these have been some precedent-setting stretches. No one in presidential history has ever gone as far as Trump about bullshit in the public. Okay? He is the one. He is the master. Okay? It's going to be a really hard way to top him, okay, in the days to come. But I'll tell you, I don't expect to hear anything honest from this White House. I don't expect that anything truthful is going to come out of the people working with this White House. I think it's all going to be just more bullshit propaganda for the most mundane thing. Okay, if you can't tell the truth about the simplest little thing, then you got no credibility. As far as I'm concerned, you got no credit, and the press should just shut down and not even bother interviewing him at all. And I'm sure they would like it that way, because all they're going to get from them is just bullshit propaganda. And the media, if you're not going to fucking dig into it to show us, because apparently people don't know anymore what's true and false. If they're not going to show us where he's telling you the lie, you're not being very informative with the facts that you've been given. Okay, and. We used to be able to, we used to have agencies that would get to the truth of things, but now they're gone because people find that to be too interfering. They want to be able to lie and get away with it, okay? And that's this White House here. That's what they're all about, is being able to spin the truth into something that people will swallow and then move on. Okay, and let the chips fall where they may. So, You know, I don't know what to say. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not expecting to hear anything that's going to be factual about this MRI shit, okay? I know he's sick, okay? I don't need an MRI to tell me that. You just look at this fucking guy. He falls asleep at press conferences. He falls asleep, you know, with other world leaders when they're around. You know, hey, his cognitive abilities are declining rapidly. By next year, this time, he could be even dead, or it could be so bad that he'd wish he was dead. You know. Okay, so like I said, the MRI really is of no interest to me because it's just not going to be handled right. Okay, enough about that. Let's see. Got my glasses on here. Now this other little thing here. What's this here? Trump makes an absolutely crazy announcement about midterms. In a comical display of delusion, Donald Trump took to his social media platform and declared himself, quote, the affordability president, unquote. Jesus Christ. Citing the mythical drop in drug prices by, quote, 500%, 600%, 700%, and more, unquote. Never one to shy away from absurd hyperbole. The MAGA cult leader called his decision to invoke, quote, favored nation's status, unquote, the, quote, biggest and most important event ever, unquote. He's always good at that, making everything the biggest. And claimed that if reported on properly, it would lead to a Republican landslide in next year's elections. A few things to unpack here, but let's just focus on the dumbest. If a random prescription cost is $10 and Trump somehow managed to lower the price charged by the pharmacy by 500%, you would be paid $40 to buy it. Look, we're not saying Trump's not stupid, but we are saying he's full of shit. Hey, maybe there is a pill he can be paid to take for that. It's true. I mean, a lot of people, they listen to what he says and they just accept it. Oh, 500, it's like, do the math. Do the fucking math. Okay? There's no such thing. I mean, it would be like going to the store and they would pay you to have it. Jesus Christ. I mean, him and fucking, like they said, hyperbole is like, you know, two arms in the same body. Okay, he's good at that. He's good at fucking exaggerating things, and MAGA is good at sucking that all down. Okay? And I'm hoping that those people in MAGA who have decided to turn in their hats, burn them, whatever, okay, that these people learned that they finally realized he's been lying, okay? They finally realize it, these people. That's why they've given up on him, okay? So that means there's hope there that there is some intelligence, you know, on the right wing, okay? They may have been blinded by their own loyalty to the party, but now that loyalty has come at a great cost, and a cost some of them can't afford, all right? And, you know, I guess, what do they call it? Difficulty is a way to educate. You know, I can't remember how they say it, but, you know, people going through rough times, it smartens people up, okay? And Trump has created some of the worst times, you know, in my generation that we've seen, and it's waking a lot of people up and educating them. So they have to learn the hard way, unfortunately. Because people, you know, in this situation, when a few people don't understand the truth and understand the facts, and they have to go and learn it the hard way, that means everybody else got to follow suit in the same way. Even though we already knew, we still have to go through it, just so those people so they can learn about it and understand it, you know, for their sake. They won't listen to anybody else. Because facts these days, people make up their own facts. And every time they see something that is factual, they deny it. Or they say that's a lie. It's propaganda. Okay? People don't accept facts. I mean, it's like kids going to school, and when the teacher tells them, educate, all the kids are like, no, it ain't. No, you know. Can you imagine a whole classroom of kids arguing with the teacher? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's kind of what it is with MAGA. They are the kids in the classroom, and the teacher's trying to educate them, and they're all arguing back at the teacher because they know better, right? That's the way it is. I mean, that's how I see it anyway, is that these people who have really no knowledge about what they're arguing and fighting over are going to sit there and tell you where the bear shits in the woods, okay? It's like, come on. Okay, let's see. Now, the Democrats are pushing for lawmakers to get armed security in the wake of growing threats to their safety as members of Congress grapple with growing personal threats. Top Democrats in the U.S. House are lobbying Republicans to let each lawmaker's office employ an armed staff member to accompany them in their districts, as well as a law enforcement coordinator. Representative Joe Morell of New York, the top Democrat on the committee in charge of member security, told Semaphore that he and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries have discussed pushing House Speaker Mike Johnson and Committee Chair Brian Steele for the additional hiring capacity. Their push, which includes other priorities, comes as lawmakers gain access to a new $20,000 monthly personal security allowance starting on Monday. How does that grab you, folks? They're going to get an extra $20,000 for security. Okay. Shit. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can slice and dice that $20,000 figure to get security, okay? I mean, you don't have to pay that kind of money. But let me tell you something. That's not going to guarantee security, okay? One person, two persons, it's not going to guarantee you anything. You piss the country off enough, they will find a way, okay? But here's the thing. I don't know why Hakeem Jeffries would have to worry. He hasn't really been throwing many punches here at the administration, or the regime rather, in a while. I don't think he's getting death threats. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I can't picture that people would be after him for some reason or other, you know. Mike Johnson, maybe he is, probably not from Democrats, but Republican voters who probably don't think too highly of him right now. Doesn't this all go back to, well, if you do your job right, okay, people are going to be happy at least. You know, you can't please everybody, but at least you'll have people happy enough and satisfied enough where you won't have to worry about things like this. So the fact that they are worried about their own life says in very big bold letters, we are not doing our job. Okay? We are pissing off America. And now we have to protect ourselves. Okay? And we're going to get 20,000 taxpayer dollars in order to accomplish that. Yeah, okay, there's so much wrong there in that little picture. Okay, there really is. There's a lot wrong with that. And like I said, it's just if you're not going to do what people sent you there to do, okay, yeah, people are going to get pissed. But if you compound your mistake by not doing what they want, by lying to them every day, okay, by cutting their balls out every day, all right, and making it harder to people to achieve the American dream, okay, if you keep doing that, yeah, you're going to have every day, you're going to be, who's out there, okay? Just like that kid there in New York there that shot that healthcare CDO, whatever his name was, I can't remember, but hey, now they're getting nervous, okay? They don't want a repeat of that. So when you're pissing people off and you're not doing your job, this is what happens, okay? And I don't see that this is ever going to be, at least as long as Trump is in there, that this is ever going to diminish here. And, things are just going to get, I told you next year is going to be a bad year. I mean, we had it bad this year. It ain't nothing, okay? The worst is yet to come. And that's why I'm saying this year we're going to see the decline of MAGA and Trump. Next year it's going to be about how we get him out of the fucking White House. He's got to go, okay? That's what next year is going to be about, because people have had it up to here. They've had it. Okay? And honestly, I mean, I've had it. I'm tired of hearing about the stupid shit that he does that even a child would not do. I'm tired about the fucking crap that, you know, because he's a criminal, possible pedophile, definitely a rapist, and people have been lining up to make excuses for this guy. People, not just average citizens, but even people inside the electorate. I mean, even in the damn government. You know, does the corruption really go that far where we're going to actually protect criminals, pedophiles, and rapists? I mean, where the hell were these people, you know, when Kevin Spacey and Bill Cosby and Weinstein and all these fucking people? Everybody was willing to jump on the bandwagon to crucify these people. Now they're gone. You know, now they're gone. Now there's nobody out there to do that now. You know, it really boggles the mind how fast things change in our world, okay? Because it wasn't that long ago when we were going through that. All right, this other piece. January 6th Capitol riot cop makes wild prediction about how Trump's presidency will end. Former Metro police officer Michael Fanone, I guess, I don't know how to say that, gazed into the proverbial crystal ball and made an ominous prediction of just how off the rails things will go during Donald Trump's terrible and bound to get worse second term. The 45-year-old ex-cop who was beaten and repeatedly tasered by Trump supporters during the attack on the Capitol building in 2021 predicted that, quote, things are going to get a whole hell of a lot worse before they get any better, unquote, and concluded that the MAGA cult leader would eventually be, quote, hopping on that Qatari jet to Saudi Arabia and living out the remainder of his days in some guest house of the Saudi prince, unquote. Any chance we could just fast forward to the end of that and button this all up now? Yeah, you know, there's always that possibility that he'll simply just flee the country. I mean, why wouldn't he? He doesn't like America, okay? Why wouldn't he jump on that fucking jet of his there and get the hell out of Dodge? I mean, his friends seem to be all like in Russia and Saudi Arabia, okay? That's where he belongs. He ain't an American. At least he shouldn't be, because he spent most of his time as an American shafting everybody, okay? So he never liked this country. It tells me his father never liked this country, because you don't hate America unless you were raised by someone who hates the country, right? And all they hear, all that Trump ever heard growing up in that house was, you know, anti-American crap, you know, and racism. That's how Trump became the way he is, all right? He learned to respect no one, okay? And so this is the way things will probably be, you know, next year, whether he actually is impeached or whether he finds himself boxed in such a corner, you know, he does something stupid or he flees or some damn thing, okay? But definitely next year, people are going to be looking for ways to get rid of him, okay? And because nobody's going to want to go through a whole nother 12 months starting from December and seeing how bad can get. Okay, you know, at some point people are going to say, we got to stop diving here or the hull's going to compress. You know, we have to stop diving. So, you know, this is, you know, like that's like, yes, the last video, why a lot of Republicans are fleeing, resigning, you know, now that they have that time to do it, because they spent their time in office and now they get these pensions here. And now they feel, well, now it's time to go, because from here on out, being a congressman or a senator is going to be bullshit. Seriously. That's what they're thinking, because they know Trump is not listening to them. He's not following their directives. He's not following the law. There's no point in anything, you know? So why stay? You got a nice cushy retirement, whatever you want to call it, coming from the government. They'll just take off and live on that, you know? And people like Marjorie Taylor Greene will probably try to make a comeback at some point. God forbid. But, you know, they'll try to come back when the waters are less heated, you know, when we have a different president. And You know, that's how it is right now. People they're just eager for this shit to end. You know, let's go to a commercial break. Be back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
He said it over and over for years.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched.
Nothing.
We're going to love and cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not going to do anything with that.
His biggest MAGA supporters said no cuts to Medicaid.
It is wrong to cut health care for the working poor.
There's a lot of MAGAs on Medicaid. I'm telling you, if you don't think so, you are dead wrong.
The effect of this bill is to break a promise.
Trump lied.
The Medicaid cuts could cause nearly 12 million people to lose their health insurance.
With this mega bill set to enact the largest cuts to Medicaid in decades, experts are warning that many struggling hospitals in rural communities could close their doors.
But they're not cutting it. They're looking at fraud, waste, and abuse.
He thinks you're stupid and he can fool you. He doesn't care about your health insurance. All he wanted was your vote. Donald Trump. It's just not working.
Oh girl, but I am a few person of your love. So I believe in you when you said you had love. Isn't the man time
I thought I'd just get head spins, not nicotine poisoning.
Oh my god, his vape taped. I wanted to be social. I didn't want the addiction that took over.
I thought it was just a bit of fun, but not being able to breathe because of lung damage is definitely not fun.
It's proven that vapes cause real harm. Every vape is a hit to your health. For more proof, search vaping harms.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so here's this other little item here about Kash Patel. It says Kash Patel humiliated in new FBI report. Apparently, a good FBI jacket is more important to Kash than active investigation. In a new report by active duty and retired FBI agents, it was revealed that upon arriving to Utah after Charlie Kirk was killed, that Kash Patel refused to get off the plane without an FBI raid jacket. The report will be presented to the House and Senate Judiciary Committees later this week. Kash apparently forgot to bring his own raid jacket, but instead of allowing the FBI to do their jobs in the middle of an active investigation, he threw a tantrum and made agents find a medium-sized jacket, though they had many large jackets available. When agents finally found one, it belonged to a female agent, which reportedly had Kash fuming, and he threw another tantrum when he realized there were 2 empty Velcro patches missing on the arm. He once again refused to get off the plane until 2 more agents took patches off their own arms and gave them to him to wear. Then he finally decided to get off the plane and do his job, despite the fact that he couldn't even do that right, considering he tweeted incorrect information out. The report was written by agents who argued against Biden's DEI policies, but they described the current FBI as a rudderless ship and all fucked up, with Kash leading the agency. They also called Kash's deputy a clown and noted that he once told agents the truth is for chumps during a visit to a field office. The report included feedback from agents who ignored He once told agents the truth is for chumps during a visit to a field office. The report included feedback from agents who openly support Trump but describe Kash as potentially insecure and not very good. No wonder Trump is considering firing him. It's clear that the entire Trump administration prefers style and appearance over substance, but the knowledge that the FBI director is so insecure that he wouldn't even get off a plane without a raid jacket on doesn't make me feel great about our national security. Yeah, well, we all knew he was weak. Everybody was saying he was weak, but Trump liked him. Trump wanted him in there because, you know, Trump gets what Trump wants, and if he's weak, then that's good for Trump. You know, and we could pretty much say that about most of the people that are, working with him in this cabal here. It's sad that we have to, like I say, put up with this shit for I don't know how much longer, but these things, these stories that that I read here coming from different news outlets and stuff like that, it's embarrassing that these things are public. I mean, it's public information. People see this, and when they're watching television, watching the news, and they see these people and behave the way they do, and it's embarrassing and shocking for a lot of people who have a better, in their mind, a better image of what America is or what they think it should be, and yet every day the reality is handed to us on a trash can lid. just what we are. And unfortunately, you know, there's not a whole lot at this point we can do about it except to raise our voices, you know, in opposition, to make sure that, you know, we remain heard here and not ignored. And certainly having, you know, the rest of the world stand united behind us as we voice our concerns makes it our position that much louder and harder to ignore. And that infuriates Trump. It really pisses him off. Okay? If it didn't, he wouldn't be out there right now with these goons rounding people up. Okay? He wouldn't be having fits at news conferences, you know, yelling at the reporters. Okay? He's easily provoked. That's the thing we've learned about him. It doesn't take a whole lot to send him off on a fucking wild, hysterical, you know, tirade. Very little. And that was one of the things that Kamala Harris warned us about him, is that he's not fit mentally. Okay? He can be manipulated. All you got to do is flatter him, and he'll kiss your ass. Okay? But if you rub him the wrong way, he's going to hate you till the day you die. And that's just how he is. You know? So, you know, we shouldn't have leaders in our country like that. Okay? We've always had, well, at least, you know, for the most part, we've always had leaders who had some caliber of composure, okay, and ethics, and a way of mannerism that made them, you know, seem like leaders. We don't have that with Trump. None of it. It might be okay with some people in MAGA, but that ain't okay with me. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's, if I'm not happy with it, then it's not right. So, you know, and I feel like this is a time where we really need to demand the bar be reset back to where it was from now on, and stop catering to bullshit, you know, pop culture kind of nuts, you know, or whatever you want to call it. You know, we got to stop that. Okay? It's never been fun to have people like that running anything, because they have so much against them, you know, so many flaws, so much baggage they bring with them. Okay, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Okay, and some news from across the ocean there. Apparently, King Charles has formally stripped his brother Andrew of all remaining royal titles and honors, and is forcing him to move from his residence, the Royal Lodge. The decision was made due to Andrew's ongoing association with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and the related sexual abuse allegations made by Virginia Giuffre, who had committed suicide a while back. The final honors that have been removed. The king directed the removal of Andrew's final two honors, his membership as a Knight Companion of the Most Noble Order of the Garter, and his Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order on December the 1st, 2025. His name has been erased from the official registers of these orders. This follows the earlier removal of his quote-unquote prince title, the style, quote, His Royal Highness, unquote, and his ducal title, Duke of York, along with Earl of Inverness and Baron Killyleagh, in October of this year. Current name, he is now officially known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He retains his operational service medals earned during the Falkland Wars, but the government is working to remove his last remaining honorary rank of Vice Admiral in the Royal Navy. Andrew has been served formal notice to surrender the lease of his 30-room Royal Lodge mansion and will move to private accommodation on the King's Sandringham estate. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, who lived with him, will also move out. Andrew stepped back from public royal duties in 2019, following a widely criticized BBC interview about his links to Epstein, In 2022, he settled a U.S. civil sexual assault lawsuit brought by Virginia Guffey for an undisclosed sum without admitting wrongdoing. The recent moves by King Charles were prompted by the posthumous publication of Guffey's memoir, which detailed her allegations and leaked emails showing Andrew remained in contact with Epstein longer than he had claimed. The King's decision was made with the support of the wider royal family, including Prince William, to protect the monarchy's reputation. Buckingham Palace emphasized that their thoughts remain with the victims and survivors of abuse. Well, at least they know how to take care of something. That really makes America look kind of barbaric in a way, that at least over there they know how to deal with some asshole that was involved in some nasty shit. But over here, not so much. Okay? So they can do something we can't. America ain't so great anymore, is it? We used to consider ourselves the best in the world, and now who's the one that's got the ethical, moral background now? Okay? It ain't us. Sure as hell ain't us. And we call ourselves a Christian nation. If Christianity is being embracing sin, then that's what we are. That's what we are. That's what we become. So, yeah, basically they're just kicking him the hell out, okay? They know that he's guilty. They don't have to have all the evidence, okay? You know, Virginia Guffey gave them everything they needed to, crucify this guy as best they could. It's a wonder, that, he ain't going to be doing any time in prison, but that's where he belongs, okay? But because they're, royalty or something, maybe by stripping him of all of his titles and stuff like that, it'll make it easier for justice to bring this guy down and bring him into prison if anything further is discovered. Okay. Now I read somewhere that Virginia Guffey was getting threats, okay, before she supposedly killed herself. Her friends say that she never would kill herself, and she had wrote somewhere that if I die and they rule it a suicide, it's not a suicide, I was murdered, or something like that, along those lines. Okay. And I'm not saying that ain't possible, but, if she wrote that down, okay, there must be some truth to it, right? So I don't know whether, it was a suicide or whether, she was murdered. I don't know. It's the same question mark we got hanging over Jeffrey Epstein. Was it a suicide or was he murdered? You got to remember, we got a lot of important players in this fucking sex ring here that was going on for decades with Jeffrey Epstein at the helm, okay? And who knows how far, this goes and how many more big names are involved in this. I'll tell you, the world is going to have to wear diapers because we're going to shit ourselves when we find out who the names are. I mean, was it Kevin Spacey's name had come up in a few messages and stuff between Jeffrey Epstein and whoever he was talking to on emails and stuff like that. And I think Bill Cosby's name got mentioned there somewhere. But some of the people that we've been, having issues with, in our country, surprisingly, are showing up. And, things. So we don't know how wide this fucking, this global thing was going on here. I mean, it was everywhere. You can't take people from one country and deposit them into another. Okay? What I'm saying is you can't just snatch a girl off the street, and then all of a sudden they find themselves, in Ukraine or somewhere like that without a network. Okay? Someone has to pay for these things, the travel and all that stuff. There's the network here. I mean, what is it, mob or whoever you want to call it. But there's a chain that leads all to this thing, and people are anonymously picking up these girls and doing things to them, and, in some cases probably even getting killed, after what's been done is done, so there's no evidence. I mean, these are wealthy people, a lot of them. I mean, it's not just average blue-collar workers out there. I mean, maybe there's a few, But it takes money to get wrapped up in shit like that, and a lot of it. Otherwise it wouldn't be such a big thing. Okay, this thing with Jeffrey Epstein wouldn't have encompassed so many important people if this wasn't a money racket. Okay, so yeah, I mean, like I said, who knows how bad Trump is involved in this? Like I said, he's fighting tooth and nail to keep everything as hidden as he possibly can, enlisting the help of people in his own cabinet to make sure that these things are hidden. That means they have to see what it is he wants hidden. That means they have to hear any tapes, they have to see any videos, they got to read any emails, so they know what it is they need to cover it, and so the press don't get it. That means people know. That means people that are working in his administration, you know, someone can talk. What's he going to do? Kill everybody? You know, I mean, what's he going to do? You know, I wouldn't be surprised if after Trump kicks the bucket, all these people will start coming forward, because then there's no consequence. You know, there won't be any consequence. You know, I say, look, if you knew about the crime and you didn't report it, that makes you culpable. That makes you an accomplice after the fact. And if anybody knows anything about that and they come out after Trump dies, they ought to be prosecuted. Okay, they should have to suffer the consequences. All right, that's what I say. Okay, I think that would be something to consider. Just because you knew about it, okay, but you weren't involved in it, doesn't mean that it's okay for you just to keep your mouth shut. You knew there was illegality. You knew there was an investigation. You knew there were victims everywhere screaming for justice, but you kept your mouth shut. I'm sorry, but you know, you can't be an innocent bystander in something like that. This is a major capital crime here, practically. People died. Okay? So if you know a damn thing about it, you better come forward now. And don't wait till after Trump dies because you think it's safe to come out and shoot your mouth off about it and write books. No, it ain't. I mean, you know something, you better say something. You know, that's the way I look at it. Pretending you don't know anything is still covering up a crime. All right, in this last one I'm going to read here on this video today, it's from The Independent, entitled, Trump Says He Doesn't Need to Follow Traditional Zoning Laws for White House Ballroom. Here we go. A guy doesn't give a shit about what's right and wrong. He doesn't need to follow the traditional zoning laws for White House Ballroom. That's what he said. And, you know, they got a video here, but I ain't going to play that. It would just make me puke listening to him. Okay? Such a, you know, good example of how what the president does influences others. You know, in our civility to one another takes another crushing blow from someone that should know better. When you got a guy like that that thumbs his nose up at rules and things like that. Now, nobody wanted to see that the Rose Garden destroyed so they can park a goddamn ballroom there. Okay, nobody wanted that. That should have been that, because we consider the White House, you know, the people's house. Okay, it doesn't belong to any one president. It's like a hotel for somebody who is president to sit there for whatever term they're in. But it belongs to the American people. But to have him do what he did and not pass this through, you know, some kind of vote to make sure that, you know, the public was behind it, says that, you know, he doesn't care about how we feel about anything. He really doesn't. He doesn't, you know, it's a guy who doesn't think any law really applies to him. And it doesn't apply to his staff, his friends, his family, you know. You know, it's like I said, when you run a country by picking on everybody, by, you know, throwing shit at everybody all the time, insulting everybody all the time, thumbing your nose up at what people want, hey, it's not a wonder his approval numbers are just simply sliding into the gutter, okay? And he acts like he doesn't care about it, which, you know, maybe he doesn't. Maybe the only thing he cares about is that people are not saying bad things about him. That's why he's going after comedians. Okay? I can't remember a time when the president wasn't made fun of by some comedian, but they never went and blew up their top, try to get them canceled off their show in some fashion by, you know, trying to leverage the studio or the TV network to do it. Okay? That's, you know, that's been unheard of. I mean, sure, some presidents get pissed, but they know where the line is. Okay? But this guy, no. It's not enough that he knows where the line is. He wants to make sure that nobody crosses it, except for him, of course. It's okay when he calls people names and makes fun of folks. Okay? But when the tables are turned, he can't take it. He can't take what he dishes out. Big fucking baby is what he is, okay? 79-year-old baby. That's what it is when you live a sheltered life, okay? You know, you're good at throwing out insults, but when somebody turns around and points out your flaws, when you've never had anyone do that before, it hurts. You know, it really does, and that's how it is with him. He's getting seen for what he is by people that at one time or other thought better of him, but now that's different. Things have changed. The image that Trump once had in this country is not just tainted, it's blasted. It's blasted, you know, and this thing about the ballroom is just one more log on the fire, as it were. A lot of people are not happy with that. Okay, he could have made that ballroom anywhere else, and people probably wouldn't have made much of a fuss about it. But why did he pick that spot? Why? You ever wonder why? Did he have something against, you know, Jacqueline Kennedy or no, on anyone, you know, that they were involved putting that together? You know, to me it seems like that might have been something of a motive there. Was that it was like pissing on Kennedy's grave, essentially. Maybe he didn't like Kennedy, you know. Maybe Kennedy didn't like his family. He needed that ballroom. This country needed that ballroom like it needed another fucking government sitting in the, you know, in the White House. Okay, it's insane. And it's all like gold and tacky looking on the inside. I mean, it's something like you would see in Saudi Arabia or something like that, you know. It doesn't belong there. It just does not fit. And I hope that whoever becomes the president again, if we ever get another president, that the first thing they're going to do is tear that fucking thing down and replant that rose garden there as close to the way it looked as it was. That's what I would do. I'd say, no, you know, that was not authorized. That was taxpayer money right there. That was spent. Whether it was his money or whatever, you built something on property that belongs to the people. Okay, that ain't ours. That's not because you're the president. That doesn't mean you own the land there. That doesn't belong to you. You're just renting there for the time you're president. Okay, but you don't own that. So, like I said, I'm hoping that somebody will say, you know what, we're going to tear that down. We don't want that eyesore here. We don't want to be reminded of the worst president this country has ever had. Okay, any more than we want to see Trump's face chiseled on Mount Rushmore. We don't want to see anything of that man after he's gone. We really don't. And I know they're going to build a library of Trump somewhere, you know, like every president has one. But I'm hoping that whatever's put in there is truthful and not lies. Okay, because otherwise it's just going to be more shit. And I don't think anybody's really going to want to visit it, to be honest. And I think it could be vandalized. People will be so pissed off at him that, you know, people will write graffiti on it, take a piss on it, you know, or something like that. I don't know. But wherever it's going to be, they're probably going to have to put it around inside of a wall a mile high, because people are just going to want to tear the shit out of it, you know, after they build the damn thing. But... you know, he won't be alone in that. I mean, any other person that's been that's in his administration there, or his regime, anybody else involved in that, their name's going to be mud after that. You know, truly, I don't see anything good in the aftermath of this. People are just going to want to, you know, forget that this ever happened, you know, and try and repair and, you know, restore what we had when Biden was president. Okay, I mean, what else can we do, right? I mean, sure, we're gonna be suffering the consequences of this man for decades, really. Other countries aren't gonna forget this shit because they've seen the worst side of us, and they know Americans are not the great people we thought they were, because they voted for the worst president in their history, not once but twice. That tells you what kind of people we are. That we're at war with ourselves. We're at war with our own country here. You know, people in America are turning into a bunch of assholes because, you know, it took a lot of assholes to take and push Biden out, to not vote for Kamala Harris, who was overqualified, if you ask me, for president, and put in this dingbat, as Archie Bunker would call it. Okay? Now, what does that say about us? I mean, I don't want to be lumped in with these nuts in MAGA, but unfortunately, the world doesn't judge us individually. We always judge by the group mentality of what we see, okay? That's how prejudices begin and stuff. We take one person and we don't like, and everybody that looks like, you know, that's, okay? So that's the way it's going to be for a long time. So, I don't know, except it wouldn't be a good time to be traveling around the world. In fact, I would encourage people to stay here in the States, because the rest of the world is that pissed at us right now. Honestly, thanks to Trump and his big yap, especially Canada. I mean, I wouldn't go to Canada right now. Jesus Christ, you know. All right, so that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the work week. So subscribe, comment, share, keep your ears open for health-related issues, and treat each other kindly. This is the holiday season, so let's put on a little more merry of a personality here and try to get along. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.